fantastic masterclass with Christoph Sietzen. Christoph, thank you so much for joining us this evening for you, isn't it? Yes, this evening.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, really looking forward to this
Hi,
session.
everyone.
And everyone's backstage. They're raring to go. So I'm gonna, as we've got quite a few acts tonight, I'm gonna move things on relatively swiftly. First, we're gonna go to Venezuela. Hey guys.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Hey. So, would you mind just maybe telling Christoph briefly about the trio and what you're going to be performing?
¿Se lo podemos decir un poquito a Cristo del trío y lo que vamos a tocar?
Okay. Bueno, el trío Catatumbo es un trío que se creó especialmente para el World Percussion Group. Y Catfish es una de las obras que utilizamos para la audición del World Percussion Group. Es una obra que nos gusta mucho, la vemos como que muy exigente y interesante y estamos felices que lo puedan.
Okay. So we, the trio, we are part of a bigger ensemble of the ensemble Catatumbo, but we made the trio specifically for the World Percussion Group, and we chose Catfish specifically as well for the World Percussion Group. We think it's very interesting. We think it's a very cool piece, and that's the main reason why we wanted to perform it today.
Great.
All right.
Perfect. So let's go for it.
Great job, guys.
Wonderful, great.
All right, over to you.
Yeah, thanks. No, it's a pleasure. It's a great performance, and I mean, it's quite a demanding piece, in fact, and you managed to get it together very, very well, actually. So congratulations to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to translate? Should I leave some pauses or?
No, I already.
Or did you
you already
understand?
explained it all. It's okay.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so I have some thoughts actually about the structure of the piece and about the instrumentation also with that. I think in general, if we might start with the instruments first, I mean, what he writes is 3 metal instruments, 3 wood instruments, 3 skin instruments. But he also specifies the heights actually. So he has high, middle, low for each instrument. And that is what I'm missing a little bit. So if you compare the range of your instruments, for example, on the skin part, the range is much wider than on the metal or on the wooden part.
Okay.
Yes, and I think, I mean, I would try to extend the range as far as possible, actually, because I think that makes it more interesting, more exciting. Like with Xenakis, you also have similar explanations. He does specify that he wants to have the range as wide as possible, and I think that would make for sense also for this piece. And the most important would be that you can compare the range of all 3 different players.
Lo más importante es que puedan comparar el rango entre ustedes 3, o sea, entre los 3 tipos de instrumentos que tienen.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think you can get very creative with that, or you should probably get creative with that, because for skin instruments, obviously it's easy to get the bass drum or low tom-tom, tom-tom in the middle, and then some bongos maybe on top. However, also there, I would suggest to maybe take a real bass drum, you know, like a gran casa, that's with a skin with not too many overtones, maybe a deep one, not too like 24, 28 inch maybe, but rather deep, maybe 22 inch or something, so that you get a really nice bass sound. But then on the other side, for the bongos, tune them up so that they're really tight, really with a lot of tension. And then if you have that set, then it gets interesting, because obviously if you think of wood or metal, then you have to experiment a little bit. And funnily, I premiered a piece of Austrian composer Georg Friedrich Haas in November last year, which had very similar indications actually, and also like this piece, you would be able to play it with 3 players, but also up to 10 players. And I had from a previous piece a huge wall of metal actually. It's his percussion concerto. It's actually online. You can check that out. And that was a huge journey actually to find the right sounds for that. But it also showed me how far you can get in terms of sounds on metal things, you know. And you can, for example, as a bass, what really sounds amazing is an oil barrel, you know, the big one. It's almost like a bass drum actually, and suddenly you have some range. And on the wood, what we did, we just took a huge plank of wood basically, or we built some boxes this size, and they just have so much more sound, and they're just so much lower than if you take any of the instruments that actually exist, you know.
Okay.
Then the next thing that I wanted to say in general is that obviously this piece has a very complicated structure. Yes, a very thought out structure. And the challenge, I think, is to actually make the public realize that and make them feel it, considering that they don't have the score and that they probably hear it, listen to it for the first time when they hear you play. Yes, so I think that's in general when you're performing very important always that you have this in your mind, that your view, having spent months or weeks of practice with this piece, is completely different than the public, which just goes in the concert. Maybe it's their first percussion concert at all, or maybe they haven't heard anything of that piece, probably, in fact, yeah. And that means that that I think the job for us, or the aim for us musicians, is to lay the musical idea out as clear as possible.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
And I know this is now very general, but therefore I want to go through the piece a little bit with you to show you some examples. And do you have the score in front of you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we have this.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, before we go into that, actually, still a few general things that maybe already help to get closer to that. One thing would be about the movement and about the dynamic.
Okay.
Because I think that you could get way more differentiated with your movements, that you can have much more variation in your movements. And I'm talking both about the volume, like the dynamic, but also the sound colors, because at the moment you're playing very much this movement, and it's very similar most of the times. And I think it would help this piece so much if you sometimes play this movement, yeah. But for example, if you have a passage with the trials, then you can play this movement, because if you play this movement, it also means that it creates a certain sound. And in order to bring out the piece as clear as possible, it would be great to use a much bigger vocabulary. Yes, it's if you compare it to speech, it's my favorite example probably. It's a difference if you're talking the whole time in just volume in one level, yes, or if you're actually using your voice to form melodies, if you're sometimes whispering and then suddenly you're talking louder, yeah. And not that you're not doing any of that, I'm not saying that, but I think you can still expand on that. And
Okay.
also talking about an maybe staccato, legato, open sound, more close, dense sound. There's so much that you can play with, and especially also in this piece. And for example, if you have in bar 10 the trials on the skin instruments, like before that, it's actually only 16s, 32s, 8 notes, and this is the first time that you have trials. So make the public feel it, before you have all the play them long, play them legato, so, and use a bigger movement with some wrist, let the mallet loose so that you get this resonance out, and suddenly they feel the structure, the composition. Now, if we go back to the beginning ones, it's actually funny because it reminded me a lot to Oko. by Xenakis. And that being said, I think you can try to get in with some more intensity. However, of course that is connected to the instruments and to the mallets, and that's probably also something that we have to talk about, because I like your metal sound, but the thing is that with the triangle beaters, I think that you are using, you have to play a very different movement, and it's very hard for you to phrase that way that you could play phrase, for example, these trials on the skin instruments. So because you have metal on metal, and that's simply very, very hard. So you always have to keep down the dynamic, but you will never be able to play a forte which has some resonance. And I think that would help you, because your forte will always sound a bit if I exaggerate, and you might want it, but I think even if you like this sound, there at some places there are places where it would be great to have a different sound.
Hay lugares en donde sí sería fino tener otros diferentes sonidos que no sean limitados por la baqueta. Entonces, que el movimiento y la otra.
Okay.
Great. Yes, and the same is basically for the wooden instruments. I would also try to find some mallets that allow you to play with more resonance at some point. That allows you to play with this higher movement without actually getting too punchy. I think that would be very important, because, for example, if you look at if a place like in bar 11, yes,
yes,
you have this trial, and then I think you could play that much more active, like and getting out of playing it rather very very hold back, I think this could be one of the places that actually would need that.
Okay.
And there is dialogues between metal and wood, while actually the skin instrument is kind of playing an accompaniment, yes, like in bar 15, for example. And I think this would be also a place that would be very nice to first of all to lift the dynamic, because suddenly here you have fortissimo, and then also get in a real dialogue. Also maybe, I mean, in general, you're very, very well together in most of the places, which is great. However, sometimes I would still wish that you give some more musical impulses also from one to each other, and this could be a place to really look at each other and play this with full energy. And this place actually brings me back to the wooden setup, because I have just one problem, and that is that that the middle instrument, I think, that you used sticks out a lot. It doesn't blend in with the others as much.
Okay.
So I know that's a difficult task to get this huge range, and then for me, I think I would try to get them as close as possible from the sound character, because if you look at bar 15, it's unisono, you're playing together, but then it kind of shifts. And for that, it's very important that as a listener, I can follow each of your lines.
Porque se puede seguir cada una de tus líneas.
Okay.
Okay.
That I can always hear, okay, this is metal, and he's playing this melody. This is wood, and she's playing this melody. Now it's getting mixed up a little bit sometimes, because the sounds in each group are so different. And talking again about structure and making it as clear as possible, I think that would help this structure. Okay, we don't have so much time left. So one more thing which would be important for me would be the rolls, actually, the tremoli. And I think that I mean, now you're playing single strokes, which is fine in general. But I think if you're playing single strokes and you have also the recording, which is rather dry, then they have to be a bit faster. Otherwise, they sound too close to 32s. Another idea would be to play double strokes, maybe. So, you know, I think it would be important that you really can hear the difference between 32s and single strokes, or you just try to play them faster. But at the moment, they are not connecting that well, I think. Just an idea for bar 21 would be the skin has the roll, actually, starts with the roll, and then you all finish together with an accent in fortissimo. And I think this would be also one of the examples where you as a skin player, also imagining that you're playing this maybe on a bass drum, you know, that you just make a huge roar there with a lot of energy, you know, with emotion, with power. Now, yes, you're playing what's written, but I want to feel it. I want to be grabbed by your power, and the other ones also go in full power, because after that comes a very different part, actually, which is a little bit, which you can play a little bit more groovy, maybe a bit more relaxed. And I also wouldn't leave a break before a pause before the last stroke. So not but
No dejaría esa pausa entre
Okay.
to simply connect it. Yeah, the tremoli that come later around bar 40, the dynamic he writes, I think, is actually very intelligent, and I would follow it, because now you're not really playing the piano. You know, it's always going from sforzato straight to piano.
Las dinámicas que tienen son muy interesantes y son como está estructurado lo que es.
Okay.
And this could be a place where you can create lots of tension, actually, in the piano. You know, if you're and then a very dense fast roll, maybe with doubles, or maybe even with a pressed roll.
Entonces capaz pueden hacer esa parte de tensión con un roble denso.
Then you have those sections where for one bar they are basically flams, but one of you actually plays something rhythmic. This is around 45. It's the first time.
45.
Or actually 44. Yeah.
44.
And talking about clarity and structure, if I didn't have the score, I wouldn't have realized that one of you plays an actual rhythm there. Not that you haven't played it precise, not at all, but I think that you have to find a way, maybe of the levels, that this one person plays a little bit more or a bit more into the instruments, and the other one's a little bit lighter, so that this comes out.
Okay.
At the moment, you are all three basically playing the same dynamic and the same attitude. And I think this would be important to change. And also the flams, I would try to play them more light and more free, like drum, brum,
Pero
brum,
no
brum,
queríamos.
brum, something like this, and the other one, you know, so that you actually immediately feel this difference. Tim, I'm just having one more place
Sure, go for it.
that I wanted to say. I mean, there are actually more places, but that's fine. I will just tell you two more things that I realized, and this is the first one is actually 75. I mean, that's very fast there, and you had already a really good precision, 76 actually. Just take care that if you have quick 16ths with breaks in between, the danger is always to play the 16ths too close together. And this is happening just a tiny little bit, yeah. Not
Okay.
yes, it's just a tiny detail, but I think it would help you to think of it in a more like stretched way, and the pause is not too long. And this would be also a place to really look together and play it with a little bit more, a little bit higher, I think, and a little bit more wrist. The absolutely last thing is the transition to the fingertips.
Okay.
And I think this is a great great idea actually from the composer, and a big surprise probably for the public that this piece ends like that. And you also played it very well and very soft, which I like. The only thing is, take care of your body language. It's for yourself, but it's also for the public. It makes such a difference if you play the last note and then you play with the finger, and then you do something with your other hand, and then you change hands. The tension simply gets lost a bit. So find a way to play this last note, and then maybe even go down a little bit with your body and show the public this is something completely different now. Listen, focus. We also focus, and then stay in this position till the end. It makes such a difference if you have a tension that you embody, or if you just play this, but you still take care of some other business, which maybe has a good reason, but I think there are always ways to maybe make it more smoothly, or in that way that the public doesn't realize so much.
Okay.
Right.
Perfect. Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Adios.
Bye.
All right, cool. We're going to move on now to Albin. Hey, buddy.
Hello.
Albin, Arena, right? Hello.
Yeah, exactly.
Hi, Albin.
Yeah. Hi.
Okay. Floor's yours.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm from Sweden, and I'm currently studying in Denmark. But right
Great.
now I'm in Sweden at home, a little bit of summer
Yes.
vacation. And I'm
playing guitar.
playing some my old guitars when I was a bit younger. But now I play arena.
Yeah, you're pretty old now, so
23.
yes.
No, but yeah, I'm gonna play arena for you. I thought I'm playing it
Yes,
for
yes.
a few months now, and I thought like I would see how much further I can get to play the piece and
Yes.
get better at the piece.
I actually wanted to ask you, maybe even before Tim plays the video, like, when do you plan to perform it in a concert? Because obviously you also cut a part out of the recording. So
I've already
it's
played
not
it in concerts and stuff.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, but the
Okay.
thing was I wasn't sure how long I wanted the piece to be, so I cut out the cadenza. I just start the cadenza and then I cut out the piece and then I play the end of the cadenza as well. I don't know if that was a mistake or not, but
okay, I see.
yeah, that was as Tim
Yeah.
just a
No,
cut
but
for the masterclass.
that's fine. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Then let's listen to it.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks.
Perfect. So, actually, I wanted to start with a question, maybe, because I mean, obviously now the video is cut for the masterclass, but usually after your cadenza, when do you want to get back in?
After my cadenza, I play. Or how do you mean?
When do you want to go to get back into the notated score? Because it's actually
the cadenza is made in like 3 parts in the scores, and the first 2 parts I've made on my own, and then the third part I play as written.
And this is which bar for you?
I can check it really quick. It should be 182. 182 is the transition to the
Okay.
182, 183
yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't really have the my own cadenza written in bars like that.
No, sure.
Yeah.
I was just used to it that maybe I like it very much, actually, this part from 162.
Okay, yeah. From 162 I play as written. Yeah.
You do?
I from 162 I play as written. It's not in this video right now, but I do that.
Okay.
Between,
So usually you do play that part.
I usually play that part, but one
Yes,
from
yes.
what is 137.
Okay. Yeah, because I was missing that part. I think it's quite interesting, actually, and I think it should be be in the piece. So I think it's good if you play it. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
So great. I like your energy and your approach. It's just that I'm missing a little bit the exactness, both rhythmical and dynamically, in fact. So there are lots of places where it's simply not as good in time as it could be, I would say, and I mean, I can see that on some places I think you're still struggling a bit technically, but in other places I think it's also a little bit a question of the mindset. And in my opinion, as a percussionist, the first aim or the first responsibility should be to simply get the tempo down. There are sometimes musical decisions that you can make, but I would try to use the musical possibilities first, playing in tempo, but trying to play with the dynamic and with sound colors before changing the tempo, because this will always keep the structure and usually be closer to what the composer intends. So for example, in the beginning, this this tremolo, it is not a fermata. It's actually 6 beats, and I would try to keep it that way. I think you played like 8 beats or something compared to the tempo that you are playing after that. I would simply keep that in tempo. There's a reason why you have 6 quarter notes here. Then I would try to get the crescendo as big as possible, because he's actually writing very extreme dynamics. It's fortissimo, piano, and then crescendo up to sforzatissimo. Yes, and it would be great if the roll, the tremolo before that, would prepare that, so that you don't have think, but really bang, that this already really prepares this this dynamic that comes there. And I mean, this this whole beginning it's almost like a cadenza, actually. I think like a written out improvisation, a little bit, very erratic, very powerful on the same time. And I think that therefore it's very important that to bring out always this runs going up to or down with a lot of energy, in fact. Now, something technical or also dynamic related happens in the third bar. I know that's really difficult. It's not easy at all, but it's very important that the relation of your hands with the bass drum, with the kick bass drum, is considered. Yes, in dynamic and in timing.
I know it's something with the microphone as well. It picks up the bass drum so much more than the rest of the kit.
Okay,
I'm not really sure why.
That might be, of course, but I don't hear very much crescendo in the bass drum, and I do hear more crescendo in the hands. I think it could be more, in fact, also in the hands. And you could aim to not just play crescendo, but also to open up the sound. But the most important would be to really have a look into that and practice it slow to actually level that out, so that this sounds like you would be playing everything with the hands, which at the moment it doesn't yet. But as I said, it's very, very difficult. And now talking about crescendi, I think it's very important not just to think about the dynamic, the sheer volume, but it's also important what you want to do in terms of sound color. And I think, for example, here it could be interesting to start a little bit more dense in the piano, but then open up the sound, get an open, wider sound. Yes, so that you have this sound really opening up, and then this leads to the next point. In bar 4, the doubles. This is of course, doubles are always a theme for us percussionists. It's just here, I think, would be very important to aim for very controlled doubles. Actually, at the moment you're leaving a little bit too much freedom to the stick, I would say, still, so that that the doubles are not quite like the second note is simply a bit less in terms of dynamic at the moment, and also in terms of tempo. So what happens is that it sounds a tiny little bit more like a press roll maybe than if you would play them out with a lot of fingers and a lot of control. Yeah, and I think this is what you should be probably aiming for here, also considering the dynamic, which is fortissimo. So that's actually here it's really where you should really stay on it. I think also dynamically. Then also in bar 5, for example, it sounds a little bit a little bit, yeah. But it would be so great if we can really hear the 32s well laid out. In bar 9, I couldn't quite understand what you're playing. I guess it's a mistake, but in this particular recording. But I think you have to check bar 9 and 10 again. It's not in not in time if you check it out. Yeah, like something like bar 17 to 20. Also, again, the doubles would be very important. I mean, he writes here 3 times forte actually, which is a lot, and obviously very difficult. But I think what he means there is to have this huge energy, and for that it's very important also and difficult at the same time, not just to focus on the accents that you play both with hand and bass drum, but to actually keep also up with the doubles, with the 32s, it's I think something that we have to take care of in general. Sometimes we think we play the accents very loud and it gets more powerful through that, but very often it's the other way. It's actually one dynamic and the accent is just a little bit more, but it's both in 3 times forte. So we have to take care that it's not 3 times forte and mezzo forte or forte in between, because the gap becomes too much. There's no relation anymore. So I think that would be quite important. End of bar 5, I didn't understand rhythmically. There's this trial.
End of bar 5.
25, sorry. 25.
25, okay.
And then ba bam ba bam, actually. And you're playing something ba 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 bam. You're playing it very fast, but it's a quarter trial actually. It's over 2 beats. So I think that's something to.
I think I maybe played that bit faster than that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think almost double as fast.
I think I do the. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
I haven't thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you should. Because this is text. This is not negotiable. Actually, this cannot negotiate this kind of things. Yes. Good. Then, for example, talking about coming back to the bass drum, 28, 29. In general, for this piece, I'm not sure if this dry bass drum sound is the best sound, but it might be a consideration to try to achieve a sound that also lets you play the character of a Gran Casa at some places. Yes, and I think this would be one of those places. Of course, it's also a matter of how you strike the drum with the pedal. You can stick on it or you can let it free. So that stroke or free. And here it's a place I would definitely resonate. It also it's not written with 1/8 note and a quarter note pause, but you always have the dotted quarter note actually. So I think it's also in the it's also what the composer meant basically. So let's jump a little bit ahead because I think we don't have that much time left. But around bar 40, you skipped something. You skipped some bars.
Yeah, that was actually that was actually a mistake. Mistake by me.
Okay.
That I actually didn't notice until I watched the video again back.
Yes, good.
Yeah.
Good that you know, but that would be good to get that out for the next time. And also here, all the dynamics, all the crescendi, you can do much more clear, I think. Like it's written so extreme, and it's actually so important that you have this little explosions, and I would definitely focus on that. So also in bar 62 there was quite a tempo issue. Also have a look again, bar 67 to 73. That was not quite what's written. That was like, somehow, but not really what's written. And I think you can do that, and you should aim for that. It should be your goal actually to be able what's written here rhythmically on the score, and it's important. And I think, as I said, it's very much about the mindset as well. So a little detail, bar 74. There are dots on the splash cymbal, and there's a very easy trick.
You have to catch it.
Yes, and you do have time, and it makes sense musically also because you dunk, gung, gung, Yes.
Mm.
Then comes a very difficult place as well. It's 78 and the following bars, and it's about gradually accelerating the speed of the hands while the feet actually the foot actually keeps the pulse in the hi-hat, and that's working at some points, and in the end not quite. Probably you have realized yourself watching the video. So you have to find a way somehow to get this done. I know it's multitasking on the highest level, but first of all, you're getting faster at some point with the hi-hat, and then also there's a jump in the accelerando, so that would be great to get that more smooth. Yes. Then in bar 96, it's actually like or 95 if you want. It's a repetition of the beginning basically, or a resemblance at least. And I would try to point that out somehow, and that can be with a lot done with intention and also with power to really show the party, okay, here we are again at the beginning, and that would give the piece also some more structure, which I think is very important in this piece, because the structure is not that obvious. As I said, it's also probably the positive thing about this piece, that it's more like a improvised toccata. It's really this and this and this idea, and there are a lot of ideas, which is fantastic. But sometimes it's good to have some structure as well. In bar 100, I wrote down, that's a little detail, but just for you to maybe change it, you can do that easily. It's that the first two beats of bar 100 were simply missing. You skipped that.
Oh, I did?
Yes.
Maybe I did.
Then in bar 104, check the rhythm.
Yeah.
It's this trial, it's not really a trial. Like, you're also skipping some notes, but I think you can do easily better here. Gang, 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 to the end. You're playing it's somehow rushing away.
Okay.
And it's not necessary. In bar 105, it's also kind of coming back to the doubles, you know. Here it's also the danger that the doubles are too narrow and also too soft compared to the other to the other notes, and I think that would be important. You know, because the accents will work already by themselves because of the instruments that you're playing here. And then also when it's running through from bar 107, actually, you can really hear every note. That would be fantastic. It's very much about the mallet control, actually, and I could see that you're more playing this kind of grip, I think, like German grip a little bit, and using probably more maybe the middle finger, but also the index finger for the doubles. And what I try to do there, it's playing it like, you know, I'm sure you played some rudimentals, and to try to use for the finger strokes more this this movement. It simply gives you a completely different power if you play this with all fingers than if you just have this rather small range in your movement. So I think it's always important to play the right grip for the right piece and for the right instrument. And if I play classical snare drum, I also prefer to play this, because I don't need this huge amplitude. But if I play a piece like this, I think you really need this kind of control for every
The whole
for-
movement of the hands.
for
Okay, yeah.
every stroke in the doubles. Yes.
Yeah.
So we are almost through. Yeah, I like the approach of your cadenza, and I think you can play that with even more self-esteem, because you're playing it pretty free in this part that we could hear. And
Yeah.
you know, if you're deciding for that, then go for it 100%. So in the beginning, really try to take the public in a different world. Try to listen to your sounds. Try to play them really soft at sometimes. Try to get them in a completely different world, actually. So that then you really have the contrast to the other parts, and then however comes is from bar 184 or what it was, or actually earlier 163 or something, where you get back in the rhythmical scheme again. And also in the end, please take care of it. That's I couldn't really understand what you were playing, especially like 185, 186. Some things are going a little bit out of control, I think, and I mean, it's understandable, because as I said, it's a lot to think about. It's a lot of coordination, but that was maybe also the reason why I was asking you, like, when do you play this piece in concert? Because I think what would really help a lot is to maybe go back 1 or 2 steps and try to figure out some stuff in a really slow tempo, and actually in a slow tempo and very, very exact. Take care of the rhythm, take care of the dynamics of the different sound colors that you can play, closed, open, legato, staccato, and also try around a little bit with the grip. Doesn't matter which grip, but find a way to really control your doubles. I think that would be very important for this piece. Great.
Yeah,
but thanks.
I will do that.
Yes.
Thank you very much,
great
man.
work.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Albin. All right. We're going to go to Poland now. Oh, I missed that. Sorry, Hunter says, nice one, Albin. I missed that. We're going to go to Poland. Tomash.
Hey.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi, Tomash.
Over to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, tell me just a few sentences about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So now I'm currently studying my master's in Poland, in Katowice. So far I've been studying also thanks to Erasmus.
You have a beautiful concert hall there.
Yeah, that's true. It's very hard to get to there, but maybe I will talk about it a bit later as well. I've been studying also in Stuttgart and in Amsterdam with Erasmus, and today velocities, huge piece, but I had a lot of fun, and I've grown a lot. So I'm very curious what you have to say.
It's definitely one of the most demanding marimba pieces out there.
Yeah.
Do you want to, or maybe also question to Tim, do we want to listen to everything?
That's
do we have
completely
time?
up to you two, really.
Or do you want to skip some? I mean, I listened to everything. I did my homework. And
okay, well, shall we?
I have my list of remarks, so for me it's not necessary.
Okay, well,
necessary.
Yeah. In that case, Tomash, shall we?
So Tomash, you want.
Maybe let's go with what you want to talk about. Than those things. So
do you not want me to play it at
all?
all?
Then I would say let's have the first 2 or 3 minutes, and then maybe the last 2 minutes or something.
Okay.
Yes, bravo.
Thanks.
Bravo, wonderful. Wonderful.
It's very fun as well
Perfect.
to listen. It's a recording from like around half a year ago already, because
Okay.
that was the best one also in terms of like the sound that I could. And also, yeah, I told you that, yeah, it's a nice hole, but it's hard to get into. Like the only way to get there is to try to get some recording students to want to record you. That's why I had so many microphones, and I felt like,
Yes.
20 guns pointing at me. And also it was very fun because it was like I had only 2 takes or something, because of course they don't have much time.
Okay.
So
Yes,
it was
yes.
very demanding.
Sorry to interrupt. We are talking about the Nostre
Oh,
or not?
no, actually this one hole. To NOSP I don't have access to the NOSP actually. Not yet.
Okay. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that one was beautiful as well. So you have more
Yeah, this
nice
one is
halls
at our
there. That's great.
university.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So this was a one take performance,
Yeah.
basically, or two take,
Yeah, basically. So it was a lot of
but without public in that
without
case.
public, but it was also a big fight with myself. Also, I do quite a lot of recordings. I really like to do them, but usually I do them
Yes.
like I have all the time, or at least as much time as I want. And this was very different.
Yeah, I see. No, sure, but respect. I mean, this is such a, as I said before, such a difficult piece to perform, and lots of things can happen.
Yeah.
I want to say a few things about how I perceived your performance in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, one of the things about velocities, and that's a very mean one actually, it's the subtitle. It's Moto Perpetuo.
Yeah.
And that actually means, I think, that I mean, it's the character of the composition, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
but it also means that actually it's one tempo going from beginning till the end.
Yeah.
And probably at the end of this stream, everyone will think that I'm obsessed with tempo. But I also want to say here that I think the aim should be to achieve that,
Mm-hmm.
to actually play from the beginning till the end in one tempo, except of the end, obviously,
Yeah,
where you have the accelerando. And of course, you could say, yeah, but that wouldn't be musical. And in many pieces, you would be right.
But here it can be.
However, I think here it's a special case anyway. And on top, also, like what I learned from my teachers actually, and I think which is a very good point, is you do have quite some possibilities before changing the tempo, and with that actually changing the text, that to make music. So rather use them first and use changing the tempo at the end, basically.
Yeah.
And again, this is of course dynamic. And I will tell you which parts I'm talking about, but also or especially velocities. I mean, it's even more than arena. It's a piece that has extreme dynamics. And the other thing is sound colors, in fact. And I mean, for everyone that doesn't see the score here, it's here the way that the composer probably writes a different implication every few bars, actually. Like if you look at the first page, I mean, you have this con bravura, which is nice to read,
Yeah.
Relentlessly with energy and intensity, yes. I think that also speaks for really staying in the tempo.
Mm-hmm.
And then already before you have porrompendo,
Yeah.
then you have legato, subito pianissimo, subito 3 times forte, again porrompendo, delicato, subito piano, again porrompendo, tempestoso, brutale. So, and then legato e flautando, actually on page 2. And sometimes you didn't do that, but I think sometimes it's the danger to be so much struck by the difficulties of this piece that it's perceived too much as an etude sometimes. But actually, for me, it's one of the absolutely best composition in terms of music for the marimba, and most creative, and also the way he's using the instrument. It's just fantastic. And I think this should be at least the goal. This should be what we are aiming for, that the technical issues don't get in our way to actually managing to do everything what he writes there. And sometimes it's at the first moment it's a little bit absurd, maybe, like he's writing delicato and you're playing actually with the handles on the instrument, and the first time that you try playing this place you would think, how can this sound delicate? But actually it can, and it's a lot about trying out where the handle sounds the best on the bars, and suddenly you realize, oh, it is possible actually. Or I think later he writes also dolce, dolcissimo. Yes, this is bar 44. You're playing again on the handles in the highest octave, so you have not much resonance on the bars. And he's writing pianissimo and dolcissimo.
Yeah.
And this is extremely difficult, but it's exactly what makes this piece shine in the end, and what I think this piece is about. It's not about this virtuosity, it's a part of it, but it's such great music, and if we really try to get through the virtuosity and get to those musical indications, then we really serve the piece. And so I would encourage you to on your way, actually, because you are on that way, and I mean, there is those ways usually don't end. There's always room for more.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I mean,
actually,
also.
Yes.
Okay, I have some.
Please.
No. Continue.
Yeah. No, you don't want. Okay, you can ask me anything you want later. That's no problem. So, one tip for the beginning. Maybe you have heard it before, but this beginning, obviously, it's very difficult because you have intervals also changing, but especially you have to go from 3 times forte to piano, subito piano in no time, and you have to go from playing the bar in the middle to playing the bars on the edge with the handle. So that's quite the way, and so it helps a lot to not just practice that and see how it's going, but to actually have quite some thoughts about how to make your life the easiest. And this is actually for the whole piece. We as a marimba player, as marimba players, I mean, it's really an instrument that's being played with the complete body, and it's so important to think about where we place our body. When do we move in one direction? Do we move with the body first or with the arms? Usually it should be the body, and this is one of those places. So what I try to do here is I play this, but the first 2 chords, but while I'm playing it, I'm moving my body already to the front, because if you do all of this in one, body and hands,
Mm-hmm.
very difficult, because especially the body doesn't move so quick.
Yeah.
The hands can move very quick,
Yeah.
but the body, it's always a little bit slower. So
Right.
this would be the first thing I would tell you to think about, and then you're already there with your body, and better than practicing this with metronome and going up and up and up, maybe starting slow, and then trying again and again and again. Spend some thoughts on it and play it really slow and try to figure out what is the easiest, most direct movement. Once you have found that, you will see that it goes so much easier.
Yeah, but do you think I'm
and the
moving
same-
too much still? Because I've done that thing for like 2 weeks when I started doing the piece, and I thought I figured it, but maybe there's still. Do you still
I
think
the
there's room for
bigger,
that?
yeah, I think the bigger problem is actually when you at the end of the bar, when you go from the handles back to the
Mm-hmm.
to playing on the bars. And I mean, it would be great to demonstrate it now. Then I could show you
Yeah.
what I'm talking about exactly, and it would be easy also to analyze your movement together. That's not possible now, but what happened a bit is that you had a little gap there
Mm-hmm.
before the second
Yeah.
bar, and I think here it's the same thing but vice versa. And I think if you take care of this again and really think about your body actually going first, and then pulling your hands, that can actually help. And it's also maybe that's another thing that could help. It's very important to know where to look at, and so try to know already the first two chords before playing them, so that while you're playing them, you're already looking to the next one. I don't know if you've done that, but that really helps throughout the whole
Mm-hmm.
piece. And I mean, this beginning, it's so strong, and it just helps if there are no wrong notes and if it just goes through.
Yeah.
And I know this is so difficult to achieve, and you're doing a great job already. Yes, but I think you could make your life a little bit easier even.
Sure. Yeah.
So let's move on.
Yeah.
Or you wanted to say something?
No, I
Sorry.
mean I would definitely sit down with this still, because it's. I was thinking that maybe I can get room for breathing also, not only for me but also for the public. But yeah, it doesn't make that much sense now that I think of it in terms of going back for the first hits. It was but I can do it like on with tempo.
I think you gain intensity if you
Stay.
manage to play through.
Yeah.
What you can do, even if it's not written, is at least in your mind, it's coming 3 times to have 3 intensities.
Mm-hmm.
You begin, and then with every time you play a little bit more. You play, every time a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then very important, the first pianissimo, that also here I wouldn't change the tempo. It might be that in some bigger halls with acoustic you don't hear all the notes, but I think that's not the most important here, at least for me. I mean, you could play it with a little bit more articulation, with a little bit more pressure on the mallet, but
then I still want a legato, right? In that moment.
Yes, you want a legato, but don't do anything with timing, because even if you wait a little bit, then some notes will be covered. Yeah. It's the character of the piece. For example, in bar 25, I also marked here, it's the place where he's actually writing legato, e flautando, and pianissimo and sonore. And I think you can do even more on that, like really letting the mallets loose. And I mean, that's obviously one of the difficulties because you don't have time to relax in this piece at all. But some passages have to sound very relaxed and very legato. And for legato, you need to lose your hands and your mallet. But that would be something to take care of. Then in 35, try really that he writes it forceful but without accent evenly, and I think you still can manage to play it even more evenly. It's also the, I mean, I for example play completely different sticking, which is effing me up sometimes, but it helps me to play it really even. So I play hand to hand, which makes you jump around like that. And but if you play this the sticking that you played and that's suggested here, then really try to, especially the lateral in the right hand, to make up for the intensity a little bit and to connect it. What I would try here is to combine your arm movement with the hand, so that you don't do too much from here, but a bit more this movement. This helps you to get some more power. Because all of this should actually build up and have direction with the dynamic and the intensity, which I was missing a little bit still. Of course, you shouldn't break the instrument. Never do that. But we would need the 3F in bar 38 conforto. Yes, thinking about in the first run up in bar 30 at bar 29 we have mezzo forte, then going down we land at fortissimo, then we're going up and going down again there's rhythmic crescendo, it's actually conforto 3 times forte. And I think that would be important to have this to be able to hear and feel that actually. Then we have this dolcissimo, also very difficult place to switch here to the handles. Also here very important to be prepared, and I mean, of course those things have, but this I just say in general, you know, that have to be practiced a lot, because and have to be practiced in that way that they work when you're just playing a small section. But then again, it's something completely different if you're playing the whole piece or a bigger section, because then it has to be automatic already. If you have to think about everything, then you don't manage, because then you have too many things to think about. So that's why it makes so much sense to practice small sections. There you have the chance to obviously in the beginning think about which movement, how, and the first step is to realize that there is an issue. The second thing is to find a solution, or to get an idea of the solution. Then you need to be able to play this solution. And then the fourth and last step is that you don't have to think about it even more, that it's yours, you know. And this is what you need before playing through the piece. So that's just in general. The legatissimo in bar 48, I think, could be more legato. It's so important to have those sections really floating, like really connecting the notes and letting the mallets completely loose. In this section from 53, organ-like, you did quite something with the tempo. I think you know yourself. Maybe it was intentional even. I don't know, but for me, for my taste, it was a bit too much actually.
Well, with the organ-like thing, it was physically just technical stuff. Like with there are just 2 bars when you have the flows. I believe it's like the 86 or something, and for this time those were the hardest ones for me with the from tertia to quints, like the changing of those. Like
Okay.
this moment just
Yeah.
because I knew I had to slow down there, I just thought that whole
Okay.
this part and
Yes.
section will be like that because
Yeah.
he wanted this part to be
Okay, I see.
organ-like, and that was just half a year ago I did this decision.
Yes. Yes. Sure. No, it's a good solution then to not just have one place, but
Yeah.
rather everything. But as I'm sure you're still practicing a lot in general, and you still want to improve.
Yeah.
Maybe at a certain point you will in fact manage, and I think it's something that's worth aiming for. So then we are about 58. Now here it's very interesting also what Schwantner writes. It's wave-like, and then you have very exact dynamics again. And that's actually this two accents in brackets, piano at the beginning, then going down to pianissimo, again an accent in bracket, and crescendo to mezzo piano. And then the next bar, the repetition, is again in piano. So it's and this I was missing a little bit.
Okay.
Yes, especially the subito piano after the mezzo piano, and that really contributes to those bars sounding wave-like. That you you let it grow a little bit, but no, not yet, not yet. And this goes on for 4 bars, and then you have subito crescendo, and you're kind of going to the next step dynamically. He's writing brightly. It's also the harmony is resolved, and you develop this melody in the right hand. And this is where I would try to really open up the sound and go dynamically also one step higher, and to lead this melody.
Yeah.
And play as legatissimo as possible. He writes all this bows, because then in bar 66, a little bit later, I think this is a section where you need the contrast actually to the legato, and the more obviously the more legato you played, the easier it is to get the difference, to get the contrast. And I think here it could be a little bit more from the arm in the right hand, and still try to have in your head both structures that go against each other. The left hand dun 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 dun, and then dun king 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 king. Yes, so you have those two structures going against each other. But I always try to play this a little bit more heavier, a little bit more, with a little bit more weight on them, and then go back to because here it doesn't change so quickly, but later in the piece, actually, in the end or to the end, you have those very like one bar like this and one bar like that, and there it's very important to have those two characters. Now, one of my favorite places is page 5.
This is the moment why I play this piece, honestly.
I see.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. No, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Just a few thoughts. I think you could try to play even more one surface. That it's really flat in the beginning. Also from your body language. This piece needs some. It's so powerful at some places, but it needs some places where you really take yourself back, and it's just flowing. It's simply flowing. And then when you get in with the accents, a little bit less. Also here, it's just an accent, but it's the same dynamic.
Yeah.
It's not louder dynamic. It's just like a raindrop. think less is more in this case, in fact. Okay, Tim is stressing us, so let's jump a little bit forward.
Thanks so much. Great job,
Thank you.
Tomash.
No, wait a minute. I was not.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Carry on.
I was just jumping forward, not to the end. Just give me 2 more minutes,
Okay.
please. There are just few more things. Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah, but I jump few of my things that I wanted to
Okay.
say. So bar 122,
Mm-hmm.
also very difficult place. Also here would be great to really get it in tempo, and not just in tempo, but that the left hand is is very clear and also phrased.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have the feeling you're a bit too much focused on the melodic line, and you forget a little bit about that. Your stickings in this place, you're playing a lot in one hand, which makes it very difficult. And this place, for example, if you just play hand to hand, the first 3 notes,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's much easier. Ba, 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 bam, and you even have time to get back to the left hand. Then you have just 3 in one hand instead of 5, which makes such a difference in this tempo.
Yeah.
For me, the only place where you have to play the sticking that you play is just 3 bars actually, and that is from 163.
Okay.
And I would spare the, again, make your life as easy as possible. So now we jump right to the end of the piece. Yes. I mean, it's important that in this whole play, starting from 318, I know that you have the basically the double accent in the left hand and a normal accent in the right hand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's completely mental. It's in 3 times F, however. But also here, make sure that the right hand doesn't get too soft compared to the left hand.
Okay.
It has much more energy if you can still hear instead of now very exaggerated.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
but just to get the idea actually. And it also here it helps to try to play a little bit to combine the arm movement with the wrist movement.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of playing the second stroke more with the arm gives you much more power than just playing this.
Mm-hmm.
Then the accelerando to prestissimo, it's of course also incredibly difficult. But the thing is that now at the moment you are doing the accelerando just in 1 bar, in the last bar of what is written, and it's actually starting few bars earlier. So it's starting actually in bar 300. Wait, I have to zoom that in 35.
Yeah.
And I think you were kind of starting in 343. So
Mm-hmm.
make sure to start this accelerando and grow it a little bit more, a little bit slower, but do start it in fact.
Okay.
On the other hand, I wouldn't play the end too quick, too fast.
Mm-hmm.
So you had an incredibly fast tempo there at the end, and you managed incredibly well also to sustain the dynamic. But I would prefer to have it 5 or 10% slower, but then really have the difference between the 3F that you had before and the 4F that he's writing in the end with accent and double accent.
Mm-hmm.
So actually it should be one step higher, and I think the tempo jump doesn't have to be that big, it loses a little bit the relation also to the rest of the piece if you do such a difference. And of course, the faster you are, the more difficult it gets to play a certain dynamic, because you have to move faster and faster in order to get the same amplitude. It's very, very clear. Perfect, but great work, and go on with it.
Thank you.
You will still have a lot of fun with this piece, and also the public.
Nice one, Tomash.
Thanks.
All right. Okay, we're going to go to a brand new commission now. We're going to go to the USA. Hey, Hunter.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, Hunter.
How's it going, Christoph?
Yeah, it's fine. It's going well. It's going well.
Awesome.
Fine.
Yeah.
Forward to your piece, actually.
Yeah. No,
So
this
tell me
piece.
about the commission.
Yeah. So this was actually my first commission as an undergraduate student here in the States.
Oh,
Kind of figuring out, consortiums are a thing, and figuring out I'm able to get a piece commission through others and through putting some of my finances towards it. And I love Stephen Snowden. I think I first played his trio, A Man with a Gun Lives Here, years ago. So whenever thinking about someone to commission, he was kind of like the first person I wanted to reach out to. And this happened over COVID, so it was a kind of a long process because of all
okay.
that happened. But I really loved the piece. I really wanted to go along the routes of percussion, electronics, and just kind of wanted him to run with it. And he went with a piece that has
Yeah.
metal skins and vibraphone. And the performance that I sent you is a live performance, and so it's not perfect, but I'm
Okay.
looking to record an album in the next year, and this is going to be one of the pieces on it. And I would just love any thoughts or anything I could add to the piece. It's it's not too difficult. It's fairly moderate in terms of difficulty, but so I'm trying to figure out mentally what can I add to the piece to make it
Yeah.
more enjoyable for
But
the
it's a very
audience.
interesting piece.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure. It's a very interesting piece. And just for everyone that is watching, I mean, I think I have to point that out. If I didn't count wrong, you found 37
Mhm.
commissioners and yourself.
Yes.
I mean, that's like
Thank you. Yeah,
that's quite an effort. That's quite
it's
amazing. I
it's
mean,
truly an effort. But yeah, it's a lot of fun though. I thoroughly enjoy that process just because you get to connect with so many people.
Yeah.
But definitely a
Yes,
complicated
yes.
process sometimes.
Yeah, congratulations. I mean, that's also part of our job to get on our feet and do stuff.
Right.
And I mean, if you manage something like this piece with, I mean, yeah, amazing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so
Congratulations already on that. So let's start.
Let's do it.
Should we listen to the complete piece, or what's your plan? Do you have a
You
plan?
said you'd listen to it, so we don't have to listen to the whole thing. I think it's like 9 minutes, so it's it's not too short and not too long. Kind of up to Tim. I'm not sure if we're running out of time or anything. But whatever you'd like to hear.
It's up to you, Christoph. We've got 50 minutes left and 2 people.
Maybe
50 minutes. But Hunter is one of those.
Yeah.
Okay. No, but then let's listen through it, because I think it's interesting. It's 4 very characteristic movements.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's do it.
stacks, in skilled labor, inventive genius, and the spirit of
Sorry,
enterprise.
Tim. Yeah, sorry, I think I had a better idea, and this is just, let's do movement by movement, and we have it right in our memory.
Sounds good.
Perfect. So, yeah, it's, as I said, it's an interesting piece, and you're doing a great job, and it's also I like the recording, even if it's just one view here now, but
Right.
it's good quality, also audio and video. So congratulations, first of all, and again, congratulations on, I mean, complete project. It's really amazing.
Thank you.
There are a few things that I wanted to offer to you on ideas, and actually, I mean, this is also a question. I guess you probably got some feedback from the composer, but in terms of dynamics, like, you're doing quite a huge crescendo to bar 15, whereas
Right.
he's writing pianissimo. Like, do you have a certain reason for that, or what's your idea behind?
I think with that dynamic change, it probably was because of the balance with electronics in that hall. No, because I actually had that thought. I was like, I'm playing pretty loud right now. There's not a lot of dynamic change going on right now. But I think in terms of changing from the part, that wasn't too intentional. But probably just a balance thing. But I definitely agree that I could, save it, especially for the end of that movement.
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be important, actually, and also the bar 17. I mean, he writes Stoic, but it's the first time for everyone else that we hear this C major chord, yeah, and
Right.
I wouldn't control that and force it too much, especially as we hear it more often. I would play that very soft and just let it do its magic by itself, because it's not that often that we hear C major in nowadays, and
Right.
and I think less is more again here. You don't have to, but you can just very soft, and yeah, it also the way you attack the instruments, I think, again, even if you write Stoic but a bit more legato, especially also when you go down to the a little bit lower registers, like going down to the G and the A and so on, and then the F sharp. I know that you probably want to get the full sound out of the vibraphone, but I would try not to get too hard on it, not too much attack, like a full, very resonant sound here.
Right.
It starts so spherical, and if you
just go for it, you're going to kind of pull out of it.
Yes, you knock the public a little bit too early out of this atmosphere, maybe, Great. Yeah, also in bar 27, I would still try to play this more open, more legato, and something that I marked also going down here in the phrases, you're actually playing crescendo every time, and he's not writing that, and I'm not sure if that really helps you, or if it wouldn't be, because also he writes a little more emotional. Yes, not too emotional. So therefore, also, again, this brings us back to bar 17, like really passive, just not too much.
Just
yes, and 27 also here, less is more. Then this C major suddenly gets a very strange kind of character, and a C major, and then the F minor. It's surprisingly tonal, and if you actually don't go with the character that you would expect from a C major, I think that's much more surprising. And not too much crescendo, and try to keep it spherical. Because in bar 39, suddenly you have heartfelt nostalgic. So then you have this whole build up actually.
Right.
I think there's where you can play with a little bit more extroverted.
Go for it there. Yeah.
Yes. But also here, take care in the higher register that you don't push too much in the instrument. It doesn't need that. If you play it a little bit more light, open, I think fits the character of the piece, and it will help the instrument sound resonant,
Right.
and that's what you need here.
It doesn't need
and
much.
not so much attack.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I totally agree.
Let it sing.
Right.
Perfect. Great. So let's go to the second movement.
Let's do it.
Industry. The first one was called Help Mother.
One of the many great advances in the art of steel making, which has brought a saving to the consuming rumble of a giant traveling train overhead, moving in with its burden. Meanwhile, the flaming river is directed through channels, which lead to the edge of the tapping floor, where it's up to the top goes the laden Larry to feed one of these giants. Like good cooks, they must know the temperature of it. No chance for injury on this job. That asbestos suit and helmet would protect any stray spark or spatter. 1929 automobile of enterprise that is so typical of America. Literally the backbone of 1,000 industries is the panel revealed here before a worker can be given a job. Melts like glass. The monsters. And the spirit of enterprise rolled. Here is an operation which constitutes in itself a critical test of steel. Provide a nation with its luxuries and its progress. Destined for some skyscraper, or perhaps a great steel bridge. The backbone of
Great. Let's stop it here. Great. Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I love this movement.
It's probably my favorite. When I first heard this movement, when he was sending me drafts and everything, I got so excited for that piece. It's so cool.
Yes.
The way he uses just the beginning with the announcer and everything. It's so cool.
Absolutely. Few thoughts. Like the first thing I realized was the scraping metal that you're doing with one hand.
Right.
I think it could be a bit louder.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. That was something that when I was learning the piece, we tried different mallets, we were trying triangle beaters, and I think it might have been just the materials and metals I was using. But I definitely, I guess when I do plan to record this and play in the future, I'm gonna probably switch some things up to get that texture, and maybe that's a balance thing again.
Yes,
but
yes.
I totally agree with you.
I think that would be important because I can hear that there is something, but I think what would be interesting is to really hear the different pitches that he is writing.
Right. Yeah.
And for that, it's too soft at the moment. Now, there's another thing which is just a thought, is that I think sometimes this like trashy sound, which really doesn't fit with the tape, is very good.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it would be great to have a sound that melts a little bit more,
right,
with the tape at some places. Now the question would be, would it make sense maybe for this first section to have 4 mallets, so that you can actually play with different mallets and
it's like
think for yourself,
different mallets on the different metals.
Yes, so that you basically have a harder and a softer one. The harder one in the left hand should be able to do that.
Right.
That's the same now, and then maybe have a little bit softer one on the outside.
That's a great idea.
As I said, it's just a thought, but there are some places where I think this trashy sound that really sticks out is very nice. But for example, bar 19, I think this quintola, it could be nice if it's a little bit more mellow and taka, because it's also in the tape there's a little bit of a change.
Right.
So that could be something to explore.
Yeah.
Now,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. In general, there is quite some room for creating tension with body movement, and I think you are aware of that already.
Mm-hmm.
You thought of that. I just think at some places it can be even stronger, or I would encourage you to do it even more.
Right.
Because it is a theatrical piece in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
Also from the music and from the tape and the sound, and also talking about articulation, actually to have a, if you are for example, this is bar 24.
Yeah.
This could be one of the places with a little bit softer melodies, and then switch to the hard melodies.
That's
so
great idea.
You create some more differences. Then the vibraphone part, I think also here, more legato.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
From your movements, because you play a little bit, and then for example, the B natural, something like this, really phrase that, like really phrase the melody, really try to sing it, even if it's very long and spread across quite some time. But there are some very nice intervals there.
Right, and I noticed that,
and which you can connect also with your movement.
More
it
legato
helps
movements
you, and
there.
it helps everyone that's watching you, instead of disconnecting it with 2 strokes, but actually 1 stroke.
Very smooth. And I even looked at the music and noticed that it's at mezzo piano, and I clearly come in at a nice forte. So, oh man, but no, I completely agree with that. I think this, in terms of like stress level of staying with the click track, this one's probably one of the most difficult, other than the last one. So that's a section where I'm like, all right, change mallets. I'm like, all right, keep track, and I think that definitely related to how I was playing the notes. So you're totally right on that front.
Yeah. That's basically. I mean, you said yourself that it's difficult. I mean, obviously for a live recording, this is very, very exact and very good. I just thought, like, from 84, some of those metal strokes would be a bit more exact. Also, sometimes your you're pressing the 16ths together. You're narrowing them a bit. Then take it
Okay.
up, and take it down. Try to, I think, like to really try to play them out.
Yeah,
and-
it's funny.
and-
As I watch that recording, there's a couple times where I do come in, but luckily I double it, which is
Yeah.
yeah. Hopefully it comes across well. But sorry, what were you saying?
No problem. 97. It's also, I don't know if it would help to play here with a little bit softer melodies, this section. So that you here, I think you need attack. You need this power getting into the instrument, and you can give more achieving the same dynamic than if you have very hard melodies. If you have metal on metal, then you're pretty limited on that, because you will always have this extremely aggressive overtone. But if you go to a little bit softer melodies, you can get a little bit more of the fundamental. And a little bit more attack, in fact.
Right. That leaves me room
because
to go for the end of the piece.
You don't reach this screaming, overtone rich sound so easily. Just as a thought, but maybe something to experiment with. Okay, so third movement.
Right.
Okay, thanks, Tim.
Fairly short movement.
Yeah, it is. It is. So what do you think about the dynamic in the beginning of it?
Yeah, I would probably apply the same thing we've been talking about, because it's written at piano, so
maybe. Yeah, I think it's a bit too loud, in fact.
Right.
I think it would help if you played a bit softer, and also here, if try to make the notes maybe sound a bit longer, at least some of them, from the movement, and that would be also talking about body language, because you are holding the tension, and I see that you thought about it, but you're very often doing this movement, and you could try to hold the tension playing something like that here as well, you know, something more flowing, like a legato movement with wrist and, you know, movement flowing instead of that, and then also carry that on and then and sometimes you can go back to this, but you have a much bigger vocabulary. And I think it's important in this movement to have the contrast between those very long resonating notes and then some quicker movements, like in bar 16 on the second beat. So this could be a little bit more clear, maybe a little bit more spicy. But that's all, actually. Otherwise, I like it. It's called Prosperity Follows Service. And the fourth movement that we're going to hear now, which is quite cool, is called Use Your Head. I think we can hold on. Yes, bravo, very cool.
Thank you. Holding on for dear life at the end there.
Yeah, that's quite something. Also, always to stay synchronized with the tape. Like if we start at the end, there were some passages I think where you were a little bit off track
Right.
sometimes, but if you don't have the score, it's you don't see that. But yeah, it's just important that you know those few passages that
Right.
yeah, that for the next time you can try even more to get it
Yeah. Touch the click track
to
there.
get it as written, perfectly as written.
Right.
I mean, there is no perfect. No, I was just thinking, actually, I think one of the things that distracted you a little bit was how you place the instruments. So
Right.
the metal is pretty far away, and then also it starts swinging around.
Yeah,
So
that was the biggest thing I think that was getting to me, is those would move and it would catch a mallet, and then all of a sudden it's off the rails.
exactly,
So
exactly. And I mean, you could definitely try to find us. You can, of course, also attach ropes in the bottom of those instruments, you know, and then this
Yeah.
would be solved. If you drill holes at the right points, then it doesn't matter.
Keep it
Just like
secured.
a marimba
Yeah.
bar, but it would help you so much, actually, I think, because as soon as this starts moving that much, I mean, there is no way that you can always hit it at the same time. So it makes it basically impossible to play exact in time, because it makes a difference if you hit it here or here, even if it's very little.
Mhm.
So for your control, I think this would be something that would be good to look into, because
Gotcha.
then I think this ending can be even more convincing. If you would really stay in track and have a good, confident feeling with it also.
Right.
Yeah, so let's go back to the beginning. Okay, now talking about instruments, the bass drum. I mean, he writes drumsticks, so obviously he doesn't want a big bass drum mallet sound. So he wants this harder sound, I guess. However, I'm not sure if it wouldn't make sense also here to think of the type of bass drum a little bit that you use. So you use the bass drum which is pretty big.
Yeah. Yes.
In terms of diameter, I think is the right term. But I guess was rather flat. Is that possible? I didn't see it on the video.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's your pretty standard size concert bass drum, just turned flat over there. And
yeah,
I think I don't
like
think I had any muting on it at the beginning. And I think I threw it down for the rest of it. But yes, I mean, with that using, because I think he says drumsticks on there. I didn't want to have, because there's so many repetitive notes on the bass drum. So I was trying to think, how can I make this interesting without just hitting a bass drum 8 times in a row? You know what I mean? And kind of, so I kind of went into a little bit the theatrical point a little bit with it, but I ended up using it, like, I think it was like a natural rubber stick or something, some Malletech rubber, because I think it kind of floated across pretty well with also the metals and everything. But obviously I could get a different sound using different mallets for those hits, and it's totally possible.
I think it's not necessarily the mallet, but you could try it with a bass drum that is not as wide, but deeper,
a little smaller.
You know?
Deeper.
Because, yeah, deeper, then you get much more bass. Because here we don't have much. We have lots of overtones,
right?
Which is fine if you like it. But I could imagine that here, like a little bit darker, more focused sound could be very nice as well. And maybe a drum head which is a little bit thicker, you know, so that it doesn't swim away too much. But that I never really love to dampen bass drums, because the danger to kill too much of the attack with it as well. If you really want to make it
overtone.
dry. So I always try to achieve it with the right drum head, and if you get thicker, then automatically you get less overtones and less resonance. Even then, I mean, I'm playing a lot with natural skins, and funnily, there you have usually the perfect resonance. Like they would never sound as long as a thin plastic drum head.
Mm-hmm.
So just as thoughts on the setup, and also here, I think the bongos you could tune up a little bit more.
Right.
Also here, they're depending on the manufacturer, there are different levels of thickness, or you can get something custom made. But I would try to go for a bit thicker skin, you know. Then you can really tune it up, and you get a much brighter sound. That's really so to have this huge difference. Now, talking about theatrical, I would try to play the bass drum in one hand when it's possible, you know, at the beginning. And really stay with one hand and stand still otherwise. And then
just let that be the whole show.
Yeah. So that it keep it simple there, you know, but maybe with an ongoing movement, so that the people can follow your arm. And then, however, like you also here try to make it sound long in terms of articulation, but then to have the difference always with the 8 notes, you know, in terms of articulation and phrasing. Or if you have something like you are doing it already, but I would encourage you to. There are no limits here to play with different articulation. Especially, I mean, groove comes from articulation. If you have a nice drum set groove, it's all about you know, about those fine details. If you that's what makes it groovy, actually. Not playing as good as possible in tempo. You know, that's a metronome. Not that you are doing that in any way, absolutely not. But just talking in general, if you're playing a groove and you try to keep everything as perfect in tempo as possible, and then play everything the exact same way, it will never start living and grooving. But you need those differences in it. Like, for example, a trial, and then the, and suddenly we can feel the different timings instead of just noticing them mathematically. So I think there can be never enough from that, but you are doing it already. Bar 37. Also here, I can mostly hear the notes with accent, and the other ones kind of get lost a little bit. And I think it would be so much more powerful if instead of you know what I mean?
Right, totally.
Well, that's a crazy place. It's a great place also. Now, again, with some of the 60 notes, I mean, this is being very picky, but like 83 or 91, you're tending to play them a little bit close together, or also going down to about 100. I mean, it's very fast, but yeah. In 104, there was a little thing happening, but this was not perfectly rhythmical. I think also here you played dang, gang, gaga. It was a bit too fast. Don't start too late with those two last notes, you know. Rather start a little bit early and try to stretch them. We always tend to dang, gang, gaga, gang. So definitely stretch them. Yeah, and then you have the end. That's it.
You're basically so right.
Wonderful. but that's great performance and great addition to the percussion repertoire. Bravo.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
So
really,
good.
really like that, Hunter. Nice
Yeah,
piece.
love the piece.
Yeah. That second movement reminds me of a little bit of Gold Rush Concerto, where you've got like the voices with the mallets over the tops. Pretty cool.
Oh, you're
Check
right.
it out if you don't know it. Yeah. All right, let's move
Thanks, guys.
on. Well done, Hunter. Finally, in the
Elias Merlin.
epic evening of percussion, we've got Elias.
Hi.
Hey, go for it, Elias. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Nice to meet you, Christoph. I've been a long-time fan of yours and very inspired by while we were playing, so I look forward to hearing your thoughts.
Thank you.
Thoughts on this version of Merlin.
Thank you. Perfect. Just very quick, very shortly, where are you studying?
I'm studying in Estonia right now. I'm from Sweden, but I moved over.
From Sweden. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful.
Is there a specific part you want me to play?
I would definitely first play the first movement and then talk about it and then the second movement.
Okay.
Elias, do you have any preferences? I mean, we could, for example, also do the same thing here. Let's play like 1 minute or 2 minutes of the beginning and then just before the end of the first movement. Is that fine?
Yeah, sounds good.
I don't know where it would be on the. I'll do my best. How long's the first movement, Elias?
It's like 3-4 minutes.
Okay, I'll do my best. I'll do my best. All right, here we go.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you very much. Bravo. Wow. What I like is that you're really trying to play a big dynamic range actually, and that's that's really important here, and very good. I think the only thing that you have to take care about is that sometimes it's getting a bit too much already, especially in the forte. And I'm not really talking about the dynamic, but when you're reaching a certain intensity, you really have to take care to stay loose with your hand, and that sometimes it happens that you actually fix your hand, and at the end of this movement, actually, the low F broke, isn't it? I think it was in the last fortissimo. Or was this before? Because I didn't hear it before, but maybe I'm wrong.
Sorry, Elias, you're good to go.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. No, I don't think it broke, but it sounded similar to that. Yeah. I didn't break the bar. No, I'm pretty sure.
But in the second movement, it's definitely broken.
Are you sure? No, I don't think so. Maybe it's just the quality of the bar. Maybe it was like that before. I'm not sure. Oh wait, let me think. I haven't played on this marimba for too long. Maybe this one has a crack already.
I mean, it doesn't matter if it had it before.
Of course,
it happens that the bar has a problem already, and it just needs this last little bit to really crack. But I didn't hear the crack in this roll. And then if you listen, if you want to re-listen very careful, I think you can hear that there's suddenly this crack, and then in the second movement it's very obvious. So and I do think that it's something that definitely could happen, even if it didn't happen here, with the way that you sometimes play, which is for my taste a little bit too dense. Mm-hmm. So this would be my advice to. I know this is horribly difficult because you, especially in higher dynamics in fortissimo, you need a certain speed also to get a surface sound and not just to hear the single strokes. But don't forget to let the hand and the mallets loose, because this will also help you to make it sound like one sound, in fact, you know.
Yep.
It's not just about the speed, because if you have a roll and you have a very fast speed of rolling, and you don't let the mallet loose, then you will still hear all of the attacks. So sometimes it can be better to get a little bit slower, but still be able to let your hand loose so that the instrument can resonate. In the beginning, you're doing dead strokes for the staccato notes, for the dotted notes, which is definitely a possibility. The only thing is, for me, it's a little bit too dead.
Okay.
In the dead stroke, you know, you can play a dead stroke also in 100 different ways. Yep. And here I personally would probably just try to play the staccato out of the hand, but which is obviously very difficult in this dynamic with 3 piano and in this range of the instrument. But if you want to have it more clear, like you did, then I wouldn't mute it that much. And also I would take care that the dynamic is not louder than the flam before, you know, because now it's a bit the gung. But even if it's a dead stroke, just make it a bit shorter, you know, damp it, but not louder. And I think this will have much more tension. Cool. Then I liked how you built up this first phrase. The second phrase, and I think this goes also for the rest of the piece, you can do even more phrasing with the melody and having the actually the top note, the melody, in your mind, and also hear this to be really relentless, you know. And like he's writing pianissimo, then crescendo, going to mezzo forte, non diminuendo. You had a little bit of a slight diminuendo in the middle, and it's enough that it goes down a little bit to lose a bit of this tension. And I think that would be sad. Sometimes I would wish that you play a little bit more with different colors, maybe sound colors. Like for example, bar 15, you have the dissonance in the right hand, the E and F sharp. That's a very dense chord, I think. And to play a little bit with your body weight, like you could go a little bit more on the marimba and get a bit dense, and after that maybe release and open up the sound, things like that. Or also tempo 1 in bar 21, actually it's again 3 times piano here, even more passive. You know, some like I said this evening before, sometimes less is more, and sometimes it gets more intense if you actually just let the music speak, and you know, if you're very passive and you're pretending or to have almost no energy, that's also a sort of energy. And after that, if you get very active again, that comes out much more. Now, we didn't hear that. Now going on there, I don't want to be the bad guy, but I think for this kind of movement, you could try to get a little bit less wrong notes. Like wrong notes are not the main issue usually, but I think in this movement it's also much about concentration. It's maybe you think it's that easy so that you don't focus too much on it, and then it happens. And I think there's in this kind of movement would be great if it's a little bit less, because it's simply very obvious. Also, if just one of the notes that you roll is off, then it's very obvious for the listener. Sometimes it's also connected to your movement. Sometimes you just do at the end of the roll, you do something now exaggerated or this, and then the last note already gets a little bit offset. So I think a little bit more concentration on that, and then it's fine. So bar 38 to 40, that's a very nice pace, and you are doing very well already. I just think that also here, start with a little bit less, like a last breath, you know, with almost no power, and just almost in your head especially, don't get louder, just open up the sound a bit, a little bit of, and then going back, and no. And then in 141, it's like a last time where you actually do find the power. Before this last dead stroke in 143, I would also not wait too long. It can have a very nice effect also if you don't wait at all. If you play, and it's a real surprise, you know?
Yeah.
Perfect. So let's go to the second movement. Yes, cool. Bravo.
Thanks.
Bravo. Great, great. And that's one of the other big, really big pieces, difficult and also musically demanding. So congratulations. So we had a little jump for everyone that fell asleep in the beginning. That was in the middle. It was a short second movement, but we jumped it a little bit as we are slightly running out of time. But in general, my advice would be to also here, if you have some time, maybe go 1 or 2 steps back at a certain point and try to get some of the stuff more exact and try to look in some of the details. And I would also probably take the tempo a little bit slower, because I would prefer slower tempo where you can really play out the details, where you also have less errors, where you can also take care more of the phrasing, you know, and where you actually don't have to slow down in the difficult passages.
Yeah.
Then a very fast tempo where you have all of those kind of compromises, you know. So I would always prefer to simply play it a little bit slower here. Also here, take care with the sound when you're going over a certain level. I think it just you get too much attack, and it's also I try to watch your hands a little bit. You're playing Burton grip, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, with Burton grip on a marimba, it's always the difficulty to stay open actually, and especially in the forte, because the 2 mallets are connected, and even more than in the traditional grip. So I would try to take some effort to work against that, or work for actually having more possibilities here. And this would be this would start actually at the fingers, like at the really difficult passages, like for example one of those crazy runs with the octaves. The first one in bar 90, you played only with the right hand.
Yep.
Which I thought, that's interesting. But then in bar 94, I kind of understood why, and it is because I saw that playing 2 notes at the same time, you have way less trouble than adding the left hand actually. And what I could see is that your hand is pretty much closed there, you know, and you're just playing out of the arm. Now, probably everyone is doing that to a certain extent, but I would try that the wrist kind of stays a little bit relaxed. And especially what I could see was happening was that your index finger, if you watch closely, sometimes you stretch it away. And that means that also your hand is stiff, and you cannot really control the movement anymore. And you know, with Burton, you can actually put the index finger under the mallet as well, a little bit like Stevens, you know, the inside mallets, and the thumb on top. And this gives you the possibility to lift the mallet with the index finger, and control it actually with the thumb and the index finger if you're playing just the inside mallet. And that would help you a lot here, I think, because then you can do this kind of rotating movement that Stevens also does, and suddenly that is so much easier than something like that, you know, like this. So a bit of rotation, and again the index finger helping you to go up, because being quick is obviously not just going into the bar, but it's same important to get off of the bar as quickly. And sometimes we forget it, but in this case, it's both for your speed, for your velocity, but it's also for the sound character. Because if you just go down, you will always have this dense sound with a lot of attack. And here just try to get it lighter to lift it off. Then in general, few things, this is surely a matter of taste, but you're also taking quite some freedom with the tempo and the text, which I wouldn't recommend to do as much probably. And it has a simple reason that I think the structure is suffering a little bit. It's already written in that way that you have this kind of interruptions in the text, and it works also when you go through it in tempo. You don't need to add to that because you need a little bit you lose a little bit the flow, I think. In general, the piano parts are a little bit too unclear for me, too muffy maybe. So that would be interesting also here to be able to hear every note. The pianissimi in this piece are also very important, or the piani. So, for example, bar 30, 37. Also here, I wouldn't do a break before that.
Right.
And that's a place where the left hand can be very soft actually. And then try to phrase the harmony. Try to show the harmony where you have this little crescendo, decrescendo, like a small excitement, and then going back down. A place like 43, it's only mezzo forte, and take care, this is one of the places where the tempo is kind of falling apart a little bit. Like you need definitely more consistency here. Also a place like 61, really pianissimo, and maybe really stand still, you know. It's also one of those places. Before that, it's a little bit more playful, and then suddenly you can do like a what's happening now, like full stop, as less movement as possible, and then you let loose again. Then the second time when you repeat it, you have this surprise. However, in 67, also there, this place take care of the tempo. Then you have this longer section going on. Here, I would also need a little bit more clarity in the beginning, and also the piano in the beginning, because it's such a long section, and you're starting with something mezzo piano, mezzo forte, maybe relaxed, but you have fortissimo before, and then he's writing piano, and then you have this long build up. So I would really use the chance to go back to piano here. Then try to listen to the harmonies as careful as possible, and to the little details that are happening, because the texture is pretty similar, but the details are pretty incredible and very interesting, and would be great to point them out. And yeah, then comes the place with the accents that we talked about. Da-da, 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 da-da. And really keep the tension. And I would keep the tempo here, also in the breaks.
Okay.
Yeah. So and also don't play slower, like in bar 101. Just the same tempo. It's for my taste. Yeah. I also in 109 and 112 you were doing like some real breaks.
Yeah, actually these are not completely my own. They are inspired by the what's his name, Morsh, who wrote it. He wrote on some Facebook group at some point some additions that he had made with the composition score, and actually it's those that I've incorporated, I think, in this section at least.
Okay. Okay.
Not to say that you have to like them, but yeah, that was my idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. I would still, but maybe it's because I'm used to the piece like that, and but I would not do them too long, because I think you're losing a little bit the structure and the continuation for my taste. and not change the tempo anyway. Yeah. So in the end, basically, jumping forward a little bit, you're getting pretty fast with your accelerandi, actually, and this tempo is really, really crazy, actually, crazy fast. Like, and of course, then you have to slow down again, and I mean, respect how you play this last section, but I think it would help to play just a tiny little bit slower.
You're probably right,
yeah. A little bit less enthusiasm in this in this aspect. Yeah, but it's great how you managed to pull out then the last 2 bars. So. But again, yeah, I would just go down a bit with the tempo and take care a little bit more about the sound, about staying flexible and relaxed with your hand, even in those difficult passages, and having musically for sure then more possibilities than just having to rush over it a little. Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah,
Great.
thank you so much for those thoughts.
Wow.
Yes.
That was an epic session. Thank you so much, Christoph, for staying a little later than originally planned. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you so much.
I'll just bring on everyone just to say goodbye.
You let me too loose, Tim.
I know.
You should be hard on me. You should be hard on me.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. Tomorrow we have Jihei tomorrow, same time, same place. So we're really looking forward to that. Thank you once again, Christoph, for your words of wisdom. I keep using that, but it really is words of wisdom. It seems fitting with Merlin as well. So until tomorrow,